Today, we're diving into a moment in a story many of us think we know really well.
A story that's shaped, well, centuries of culture and
Right.
faiths.
And we talk a lot about the cross, obviously,
Yeah.
that huge sacrifice, the atonement.
Hmm.
And we definitely shout about the resurrection, the
Yeah.
victory, the new beginning.
The triumph, yeah.
But what about the part in between? That quiet bit, the often overlooked space between the cross and the empty tomb.
You mean the burial.
Exactly. The
Yeah.
part where Jesus was buried.
And you've really hit on something important there, because what might seem like just a pause in the narrative,
Yeah, like a transition.
right, or just, what you do after someone dies. But according to the source material we're looking at today, it's much more than that. It's presented not as just this empty space, but as a really deliberate, purposeful act.
Purposeful.
How so?
Well, the source we're drawing from, the strategic power of Christ's burial, argues it wasn't merely symbolic, it was actually strategic.
Strategic. Wow, okay.
Yeah, because even in that tomb, in the darkness, the claim is God was still profoundly at work, still orchestrating things.
Turning what looks like an end into a crucial next step.
Precisely.
So strategic, that's a really powerful word for what most people probably see as just defeat or maybe the sad end to a tragic story.
Exactly. So that's our mission for this deep dive,
Yeah.
right? To uncover the hidden power behind this strategic act.
We're going to pull out some surprising facts, really dig into what the source says most people miss about this period.
Using just the excerpts provided from the strategic power of Christ's burial.
Let's unpack it. This should be interesting.
Unpacking the overlooked significance, why the burial matters.
Okay, so let's start right there. Why is the burial itself so often overlooked? You think about the story.
The crucifixion is intense. It's dramatic, public, full of suffering.
Absolutely. High drama.
Then you leap to the resurrection, which is pure glory, victory, total reversal, immense joy.
Right. The ultimate triumph.
But the burial, it feels like the quiet after the storm, doesn't it?
Oh.
The sort of solemn processing. It's definitely less dramatic than the cross.
And less overtly triumphant than the resurrection, for sure.
So it's easy for our focus to just jump from the agony to the ecstasy, kind of skipping that middle part.
It's a natural storytelling instinct, I think. We focus on the peaks. But the source insists this wasn't just a narrative pause. It uses that word again. Strategic.
Okay, let's lean into that. Strategic
Yeah.
implies intention, right? Planning.
Yeah.
Like a chess move or a military tactic.
Exactly. It suggests deliberate, purposeful action, often with a complex, long-term goal. It's not random. It's calculated.
So to apply that to something like a burial, which seems so final, so silent, that's unexpected.
It really is. It suggests a hidden operation, something important happening beneath the surface, even in the apparent defeat of the tomb.
Like you said, maybe like a complex project. There's the design, the launch.
Right, but in between, there's that crucial quiet phase. The building, the testing. It's not flashy, but it's absolutely essential, strategic.
So the source is arguing the burial was that kind of essential strategic preparation.
That's the argument. A hidden but vital piece of the whole story.
That definitely reframes things. It challenges where we expect to see God at work, doesn't it? Not just in the big, loud moments.
It suggests divine activity is constant, even in the quiet. And moving from that general idea, the source gives a really foundational reason why the burial is so vital.
Foundational.
Yes, it's presented as a critical part of the gospel message itself. The core good news.
Okay, how so?
Well, it points directly to Scripture, 1 Corinthians 15, verses 3 and 4. It lays out the absolute core of Christian belief.
What does it say?
Christ died for our sins, he was buried, and he rose again on the third day.
Died, buried, rose again. Okay.
And the crucial thing here, the part that's often missed, is that Paul includes the burial right there, when he's defining the non-negotiables of the gospel.
He doesn't just jump from death to resurrection.
Exactly. He deliberately inserts the burial. The text says Paul mentions it not as a side note, but as a vital part of the gospel.
Wow. Okay. So why? Why is it vital?
Because, and this is the core takeaway, because burial confirms death, and without true death, there is no true resurrection.
Okay. It's a necessary link in the chain.
A vital link. One event necessitates the other.
Let's unpack that a bit more. This logical necessity. If the resurrection is physical, a literal rising from death, then he had to be truly, undeniably dead first. Why is that confirmation so critical? Why is it explicitly mentioned the burial? Doesn't died cover it?
Well, you'd think so, but it's not redundant at all. It tackles a fundamental issue.
Yeah.
Verification. For the resurrection to be what it's claimed to be, this unique world-changing event, the death had to be absolutely certain.
Right. No room for doubt.
None. Think about it. If Jesus had just fainted or was in a coma or somehow revived, then coming out of the tomb isn't resurrection, it's recovery.
Okay, yeah. That makes sense.
And the theological weight of true death is huge. In that time, death wasn't just biological cessation. It was seen as a power, a domain, a final state.
So, to conquer death.
He had to actually enter its realm, experience its full reality, its finality. Without that undeniable submission to death, the resurrection isn't a victory over death, it's just dodging it.
Got it. So the burial removes any doubt, like the swoon theory or something.
Precisely. It serves as the irrefutable proof. The burial, in a known tomb, sealed, sometimes even guarded, it locked down the fact of death.
It prevented any later claims that maybe he wasn't really dead?
Exactly. You had witnesses, Roman soldiers, Jewish authorities, his own followers, the women. They all confirmed the death. The burial sealed that confirmation.
So if that detail, the burial, wasn't explicitly in the account, what kinds of doubts might have arisen?
Oh, all sorts. Historically, skeptics could easily say, well, maybe he just passed out. Or maybe his friends smuggled him away and revived him.
Right. Plausible deniability.
But the burial account counters that. It provides solid, verifiable evidence for the prior state death before the extraordinary claim of resurrection is made. Like in court, you need proof of A before you can claim B happened.
The burial is the proof of A, the undeniable death.
Making the resurrection B truly stand out as the miracle it's presented as. It solidifies the entire narrative.
Prophecy and proof.
Yeah.
The burial as divine fulfillment.
Okay, so the burial confirms death, but the source says there's another layer here, another strategic element, prophecy.
Yes, and this really dials up the strategic aspect, suggesting a detailed divine plan unfolding over centuries.
Like a blueprint.
Exactly. The source points to Isaiah 53, verse 9. This is written hundreds of years before Jesus lived.
Okay, Isaiah 53.9, what does it say?
It says, "He was assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death."
Assigned a grave with the wicked and with the rich. That sounds contradictory.
It does, doesn't it? And that's the fascinating part. As a crucified criminal, Jesus was technically assigned a grave, with the wicked criminals were often just disposed of in common pits.
Okay, that makes sense for wicked.
But then, through the actions of Joseph of Arimathea, a wealthy member of the Sanhedrin.
Right, he offered his own tomb.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jesus ends up being buried in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb, a rich man's tomb. So the prophecy is fulfilled in both its seemingly contradictory parts.
Wow. Okay, that is specific. Assigned one fate, but ultimately receives another, both foretold.
It's remarkably precise, not just death, but the manner and location of the burial.
So how does fulfilling such a specific, almost paradoxical prophecy strengthen the claim that Jesus was the Messiah? It feels less like coincidence and more like design.
That's exactly the implication. It speaks to a meticulous divine plan. For those looking for evidence, this kind of specific fulfillment is incredibly powerful.
It suggests that even this moment of death and burial wasn't random, but orchestrated.
Precisely. Preordained with divine foresight. It wasn't just people interpreting events afterwards to fit a vague prediction. It was a very specific, complex prophecy playing out in real time.
Like finding that one specific, weirdly shaped puzzle piece that suddenly makes the whole picture make sense.
That's a great analogy. It confirms the design, and it solidifies the messianic claim because it demonstrates a level of foreknowledge and control that points towards divine authorship of the whole story.
So even in silence, even in death, the source says he was fulfilling the word. It even says he was still preaching and proving he was the Messiah from the grave. How does that work? How can you preach from a tomb?
It's a paradox, for sure. But the source argues that the fulfillment itself is the sermon.
Ah, the actions speak louder than words, even when the action is being buried according to plan.
Exactly. The fulfillment of prophecy, especially one this specific about the burial, acts as a powerful nonverbal testament. It demonstrates divine authority without needing a spoken word. The circumstances themselves become the message.
Like a silent performance where the stillness itself conveys deep meaning.
Precisely. His physical stillness, his apparent defeat, paradoxically becomes an active demonstration of divine purpose. The fact that Isaiah's words materialize centuries later around his dead body, that is the proof, the sermon from the grave.
It's a confirmation that shouts silently, this was all part of the plan. This confirms who I am.
Yes, a silent yet thunderous testament designed to confirm his identity for anyone seeking truth.
The darkest place, the greatest victory.
So we've got confirmation of death, fulfillment of prophecy. Now the source shifts to the transformative power of the burial itself, not just for Jesus, but for us. But first, we need to understand what burial meant back then. It wasn't just practical disposal.
No, absolutely not. It carried a much heavier symbolic and spiritual weight. The source clarifies, burial in biblical times wasn't just about death. It represented separation, finality, defilement.
Separation, finality, defilement. Okay, let's break those down. What did they really signify in that culture?
Well, separation meant being cut off from life, obviously, but also from the community, from the land of the living, even from God's presence in certain ways within their understanding. Burial was a profound severing.
Okay, and finality.
That seems obvious, but it was absolute. The grave was the end. There was no expectation of return in the normal course of things. It was the ultimate, inescapable destination.
Right, but defilement, that sounds different. What did that entail?
This is key, and maybe harder for us to grasp today. Contact with a dead body or a grave made a person ritually unclean, defiled.
So not morally bad, but ceremonially impure.
Exactly. It meant you couldn't participate in temple worship, certain community activities, until you went through specific purification rituals. Death was seen as the ultimate source of ritual impurity, disrupting God's order of life and holiness.
So there were actual rules and rituals about this.
Oh, yes. Very detailed ones, like in the book of Numbers. It shows how deeply ingrained this idea was. So entering a grave meant entering a state of profound separation, finality, and ritual impurity, the opposite of life, holiness, and connection with God.
Wow. Okay, so the grave was seen as this place of ultimate separation and impurity. Understanding that really changes the impact of what the source says next.
It does. Because knowing that context makes Jesus' act incredibly powerful, the source says, but when Jesus was buried, he entered the darkest place you and I could ever go, and he conquered it.
He didn't just succumb to it, he went into it to conquer it.
Exactly. He didn't avoid the grave. He entered its reality, the separation, the finality, the defilement, and overcame it from within.
That flips the script, doesn't it? The grave isn't defeat, it's the battleground.
It becomes the location of the strategic victory. The burial isn't the end of the fight, it's the crucial engagement inside the enemy's stronghold.
So what does this conquest really mean? It's more than just getting out later, right? It's about defeating death in its own domain.
Yes. It's portrayed as a cosmic victory. By willingly entering death's territory, embracing its full implications, and then rising, he didn't just escape, he fundamentally disarmed death. He demonstrated ultimate authority over it.
Like that idea of infiltrating enemy HQ and disabling it from the inside.
That's a great way to put it. It implies immense divine power to enter the most feared place and essentially neutralize it. He took death's power away by meeting it head-on in its own territory.
Turning the symbol of ultimate defeat into a place of ultimate victory.
Precisely. The burial becomes the moment the decisive blow against death itself is struck, paving the way for the resurrection.
And this huge cosmic victory, this conquering of the grave, the source says it has a direct echo in the believer's life through a specific ritual.
Yes, this is where it becomes incredibly personal. This is the so what for you, the listener. The source connects Christ's burial directly to the experience of baptism.
Okay, how does that connection work?
It quotes Colossians 2:12. Having been buried with him in baptism, you are also raised with him through your faith.
Buried with him in baptism.
And then the source clarifies the personal impact. In other words, his burial means your shame, buried, your sin, buried, your past, buried, and when he rose, you rose too.
Wow. Okay, unpack that parallel. How is baptism like being buried with Christ? What does it mean for my shame, my sin, my past to be buried?
It's a profound spiritual identification. When you're immersed in the water during baptism, it's a powerful picture of dying and being buried. Just like Christ's body was laid in the tomb, symbolizing the end of that phase, the believer's old self, the one defined by sin, guilt, past mistakes, is symbolically put to death and buried in the water.
So it's not just forgiveness like wiping a slate clean, but more like the old slate itself is gone, buried.
Exactly. It's about definitive separation. It signifies that the old you, the one bound by those things, is gone, finished, left in that symbolic grave. It's a fundamental change of identity, not just a cleanup job.
Like shedding an old skin or taking off a heavy coat you've been forced to wear. It's left behind completely.
That's the imagery. And then, just as importantly, coming up out of the water mirrors the resurrection.
And when he rose, you rose too.
Right. It signifies rising to a new life, a new identity, spiritually united with Christ's resurrection. It's a participation in his victory. You don't just get forgiven, you participate in a death and resurrection, leaving the old self behind in the tomb of baptism.
That understanding makes baptism seem much more active and transformative than just a simple ceremony.
It frames it as an active participation in this cosmic victory, a personal appropriation of Christ's death, burial, and resurrection. You emerge fundamentally changed, empowered for a new kind of life.
A launch pad, not a retreat. The enduring message of the tomb.
So the tomb isn't an end, but potentially a beginning, a launch pad. That's such a counterintuitive idea.
It really is. The source hammers this point. The tomb of Jesus wasn't a retreat, it was a launch pad. When he was buried, it wasn't defeat, it was the setup for a comeback.
It completely challenges how we view tombs, and maybe by extension, any low point or ending in our own lives.
Absolutely. Instead of the ultimate dead end, it's presented as this strategic staging ground, a place of necessary, hidden preparation for something amazing.
Like that compressed spring analogy you used earlier.
Exactly. Or the diver reaching the bottom before pushing off. The tomb wasn't passive waiting. It was active, unseen preparation for the greatest comeback imaginable.
And that shift in perspective, seeing a low point not as final defeat, but as a potential setup, that has huge implications for us personally, doesn't it?
Tremendous implications. When we face our own tomb moments, times of struggle, loss, when things seem utterly hopeless.
When we feel buried by life.
Right. This perspective offers a completely different framework. It suggests these aren't necessarily final endings, but could be necessary precursors to our own future growth, our own comeback.
It offers hope by reframing the darkness. If the grave itself could be a launch pad.
Then what about our own periods of feeling buried? It encourages a long-term, hopeful view, seeing potential even in apparent defeat.
And this whole idea, the tomb as a launch pad, the burial leading to resurrection, is acted out personally in baptism.
Yes, the source brings it back to that. It says, and now, when you're buried in baptism, you're not just doing a ritual, you're acting out your resurrection story.
Acting out your resurrection story, not just symbolizing it.
Exactly. It quotes Romans 6.4. We were therefore buried with him through baptism into death, so that just as Christ was raised from the dead, we too may live a new life.
So baptism becomes this personal enactment of the entire death, burial, resurrection narrative.
It's a performative declaration. You are physically and spiritually stepping into that story, identifying with it, claiming its reality for yourself.
That phrase, acting out your resurrection story, really is powerful. It makes it active, not passive. So what does this new life look like? What's the outcome of acting this out?
It signifies a radical break. The old you, defined by sin and failure, is declared dead and buried. The you that emerges is raised to a new potential, a transformed existence.
A new identity, freed from the past.
Yes. It's about walking in a new reality, empowered by that identification with Christ's victory over the grave. It's not just trying harder, it's living from a place of fundamental spiritual change. You're participating in the divine drama, not just watching it.
What stays buried? Releasing the past.
Okay, so if we've been spiritually buried with Christ and raised to new life, that implies some things should stay buried, right? Left behind in that symbolic tomb.
That's the logical conclusion, and it leads to some very practical, actionable advice from the source. But it also comes with a warning.
A warning.
Yes, about a common struggle. The source says, some of us are still digging up what Jesus already buried.
Oof. Like what?
Your guilt, he buried it. Your addiction, he broke it. Your failure, he rolled a stone over it.
Wow, that's direct.
It is. And then the key line, you don't have to carry what the cross already covered and what the tomb already sealed shut.
We keep digging up things that are meant to be gone. Why do we do that? Why carry burdens that have supposedly been dealt with?
It's complex, isn't it? Sometimes it's habit, self-condemnation. Sometimes we don't fully believe we're free, or maybe we even feel we deserve to keep carrying it.
Like a weird form of penance.
Perhaps. Or maybe just the familiarity of the burden feels safer than the uncertainty of freedom. But the source is clear. You don't have to carry it.
It emphasizes choice, agency.
Absolutely. The cross covered, it paid the debt, the tomb sealed shut over it, finality, removal. It's an invitation to actually live in that freedom.
To stop carrying that heavy backpack that's already been emptied.
Exactly. It's unnecessary weight. a self-imposed sentence after the pardon has been issued and the record sealed.
Okay, that leads perfectly into the final, really mind-blowing insight from the source. The one about the stone sealing the tomb.
Yes, this is the absolute pinnacle. It ties everything together and reveals the ultimate purpose behind the burial's strategic power.
What is it?
The source says, don't miss this, the stone wasn't rolled away so Jesus could get out.
Wait, it wasn't rolled away for him.
No, he was already risen. The resurrection power transcended physical barriers like a stone.
So, why roll the stone away?
The stone was rolled away so you could look in.
So we could look in.
Yes, and see that your sin, your shame, your sentence was gone.
Wow. Okay. That changes everything. The empty tomb isn't proof. He got out. Is proof that our stuff isn't in there anymore.
That's the perspective shift. It was rolled away for our benefit as a demonstration, a verifiable sign that the victory was complete, that the things that held us captive were dealt with, removed, gone.
Like looking into that empty space and seeing the absence of all those burdens. Your sin, your shame, your sentence, just not there.
Exactly. It makes the ancient event immediate and personal. It's tangible proof. You look in, and the evidence of your old condemnation is simply absent, vanished, conquered in the tomb.
So the burial wasn't a pause. It wasn't just waiting. It was the engine, the power behind the resurrection.
That's the final synthesis. That's the hidden power of the burial. It wasn't a pause in the story. It was the power behind the resurrection. It confirmed the death, fulfilled the prophecy, conquered the darkness, and made the tomb the ultimate proof that our old sentence was gone.
It was the setup, the launch pad, and the confirmation, all in one, often overlooked event.
Precisely. And if the grave itself can be a launch pad, well, that offers incredible hope for any time we feel buried.
A truly powerful thought to end on, a complete reframing.
So the final takeaway from the source is this. So when you feel buried, remember, in Christ, that just means a resurrection is coming.
Wow, what a perspective shift. Thinking about how that truth hidden in the burial might change how we face our own moments of feeling overwhelmed or stuck or defeated. Something profound to consider. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We'll explore more sources and insights next time.